What is up, Buffalo Fanatics? Z-Bot, Rico. It's Rico and Bot, and it's mother effing game day here on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel. Thursday night football, week 2. The Buffalo Bills out in South Beach taking on the Miami Dolphins. Rico, how you feeling, baby?
Listen, man, I'm not used to Thursday night games this early in the season. This is week 2. We're playing Thursday night. Apparently, the Bills are 6-0 when it comes to playing on Thursday night. I got to make sure that my audio is down and ready to go. We good to go. So, folks, 6-0. We trying to make it 7-0. Why not? But here's the thing. The Miami Dolphins know what's at stake here. They know the narrative, right? Yo, we can't talk until we take down the Bills. The narrative is that the Bills just own us. So until we make something happen, the Bills are our daddy. That's just what it is. And they've got to change that. I don't know if it's going to happen tonight, but it's getting closer, folks. I mean, if we're going to be honest with each other, the AFC is not going to be like a run. It wasn't even a runaway last year. It certainly won't be a runaway this year. So the Dolphins might just have something to say about it this year, but there's a reason they do, Bob. What do you think the reason is that they might just have a way to keep it close? I got one word for you. What do you think it is?
I'm trying to think. By the way, I forgot to mention, we wanted to thank everybody for tuning in with us tonight because we know Thursday, we were just talking off air. You blink and all of a sudden you're waiting all year long for the season. It takes forever. Then all of a sudden you blink and it's week 2. Thursday is chaotic for football, especially this early in the season. So we thank you for joining us. It's Rico and Bot. We're powered by BetUS. We'll talk about the game line in a minute because boy, oh boy, awfully interesting to me. But Rico, let me ask you your question again. I want to make sure I got it right.
And you know what? Big shout out to BetUS because I mean, listen, if you haven't dropped your lines anywhere, if you're trying to figure out where's the edge. Where is the edge? Where can I make a little boku money? I mean, listen, we're going to talk about it in just a moment, but I said one word. I'm going to say 2 words. There are 2 words that'll keep the Miami Dolphins in this game. As of late, I mean, they've had opportunities to knock us off our block, and they didn't. Last year, last game of the season, they had an opportunity, and they just couldn't do it. But there's 2 words that's going to keep them in this game and keep it close. I know you don't have the answer.
I think I have an answer.
Oh, you do? Give it to me.
Personally, this is what I think the difference is, and it hasn't been able to be the difference for these Miami Dolphins. The 2 words that come to mind to me are Tyreek Hill. Those are the 2 words that come to mind to me.
Okay.
Tyreek Hill tonight, Rico. I just want to mention Tyreek Hill tonight, after coming off a game where he had 130 yards, an 80-yard touchdown, he was the difference maker in that ball game for Miami last week in a game they should not have won against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Within 2 plays, the Jaguars forced a fumble on Travis Etienne, which would have sealed the ball game. The next offensive play for Miami, an 80-yard touchdown for Tyreek Hill. Tonight, Rico, Tyreek Hill's over-under in terms of yards is 94.5. Rico, Tyreek Hill has played the Buffalo Bills, I believe, 7 times in his career in the regular season. He has never eclipsed 94 yards, never eclipsed 100 yards, never eclipsed 90 yards. Tyreek Hill,
as a Dolphin or Tyreek Hill?
In general, the biggest game he ever had against the Bills, of course, was the 13-second game.
I was about to say,
he had 80 yards on that one play where he put the peace sign up. So you know exactly, because I always thought the same thing, right, Rico? Because that's what you think of the first time you think of Tyreek Hill and the Bills. That's 100%. What comes to mind. But Rico, the reality is Tyreek Hill in the regular season, the Bills have made him a non-factor. But with Teron Johnson out tonight, with a Bills secondary that we know is far different than what it was a season ago and so on, that to me, if they can get him going, it could be the difference maker because, Rico, they've lost just about every other matchup against these Bills, and Tyreek Hill has basically been nowhere to be found. You seem to have a different answer, and you seem to be very firm on this answer. Let me know what that is.
I am firm, and I'm so glad that you said Tyreek Hill because you're on the lines. You're right. You're right in the ballpark. You're in the game. But those not the 2 words that I'm talking about. I'm referring to Jordan Poyer.
Ooh.
Jordan Poyer. And I don't want to say most folks forgot about Jordan Poyer because I don't think we have. I mean, Ryan Clark tried to say that we didn't appreciate them as much as we should have. Cap. We appreciated them. We love Micah Hyde. We love Jordan Poyer. But Jordan Poyer now plays for the Miami Dolphins. He now dons a teal jersey. And you know they're in the film room going, hey, All-Pro Poe, JP, talk to us. What? How do we stop? What do we do? What's Josh Allen about? What about Khalil Shakir? What about? You know that's what they're doing. And you know he's going to give nuances. You know when Josh Allen rolls right, he sees J-Po coming down in the trenches. Is he going to run J-Po over? Is he hurdling? Who knows? But Jordan Poyer is going to have a lot to do with how this game is played, not because of what he's physically going to do. Of course, he's going to be a factor, but there are things he's going to tell that defense. There are things that, okay, McDermott likes to do this. This is what they do in practice. This is X, Y, Z. So Jordan Poyer he might be a factor in this game. Now, are the Bills worried about that? No. Why? Here's another 2 words for you. Mike White. Mike White is in the building. Like, hold on a second, real quick. Miami Dolphins, when you see Tua do this is why. If you see my man Tyreek Hill run across the field, hey, that might be a run towards. So be mindful so there's going to be a big game of chess here. There's going to be a big game of chess. So though, we're on the lines, man. Tyreek Hill, Jordan Poyer, Mike White. I'm saying Mike White, but really, Mike White is not really going to be touching the field. But his mind was in that film room all week. So listen, this is going to be an interesting game because there are factors that are going to affect this game. So we'll see how this all plays out. So my guy C-Dot says, Mike White might be the difference maker in this one too, because there might be a play that they need to run down the stretch, which is the money maker, and defense is ready for it. McDermott's like, oh yeah, that's what Mike told us, right? When they do this down the stretch and we see this, set up for that. We'll see how that all plays out.
Let me ask you a question, Rico.
What did you got?
If you had a team that in the last 13 games was 2-11 against the opposing team, wouldn't you figure the team with the 11-2 record would be the favorite heading into the ball game? Would that not be what you would assume?
You would assume. But you know what happens when you assume, big fella? You make an ass out of you and me. We can't assume. We can never assume. It's a new year. It's a new league. It's a new team. We got a whole bunch of new receivers. We got a whole bunch of new DBs. Bro, things are new. There's a new defensive coordinator. Here's another aspect that we should kind of factor in here. They got a new defensive coordinator. You're right. When you're facing a team often, you start to kind of know each other. But when you have the same personnel, it becomes a good boxing match, a good sparring match. If you have the same coaches, the same team, and the same everything, things have changed. They got a new defensive coordinator. Fangio's gone. Now it's Weaver, the former Baltimore defensive coordinator. That now changes, right? He doesn't know anything about the rivalry. He doesn't know about what the nuances of the Bills. So it's going to be a whole new game plan for the Dolphins, right? For us, we already know what time it is, man. We already know what our offense is about. We're going to do what we need to do. So this will be interesting.
As the wise Dave Matthews once said, Rico, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Hey.
There's been a lot of change throughout these organizations over the last several years. One thing that hasn't changed is the fact that the Buffalo Bills have dominated this rivalry. And whether the Bills are an underdog, a favorite, whether the Miami Dolphins look better than the Bills or vice versa, the Bills have found a way to do it. But tonight, it is being touted that the Buffalo Bills are an underdog, Rico. Right now on BetUS, the Buffalo Bills are a 2-point underdog on the road against the Miami Dolphins football team that last week struggled to pull it out against Jacksonville. The Bills themselves struggled a bit, especially in the first half. That game was far too close for comfort. Both of these teams 1-0. Both of these teams not feeling the best about how they looked last week. But what the line's telling you right now, Rico, that the Miami Dolphins are a slight favorite right now over the Buffalo Bills, and the over-under is 48.5. I personally have gotten in on this already. If you want to, by the way, YouTube 150 is the promo code. That'll get you 150% sign-up bonus up to $2,000 on your first 3 deposits. So, Rico, I wanted to bring that up because I just find it very interesting that the Buffalo Bills, no matter what they've done, all I've heard today, outside of course, them being the underdog, is a bunch of people picking the Miami Dolphins.
I see that.
The thing that kills me is I understand the sentiment behind it. The Miami Dolphins on paper have a better team than the Buffalo Bills. But I would have argued that last year as well. The Buffalo Bills were trailing by 3 games to these Miami Dolphins in the AFC East. It came down to essentially a playoff game for the division title based on the incompetency of Miami. Yet they still had a chance to get into the playoffs with that East title that we know Mike McDaniel wants more than anything. He brings it up nonstop. And the Bills still somehow found a way to take it despite not playing their best. No matter what the setting of the game, whether the Bills beat the brakes off of them like they did last year in week 4 or whatever, whether they win by a narrow margin. I just mentioned to you, the more things change, the more they say the same. A lot of things have changed, right? A lot of things have changed.
Right.
The one thing that has been the same in every one of these games, and I want to get your thoughts on this because I understand what you're saying as to why this should look different. The Bills look incredibly different. The Dolphins have a ton of different elements on their team from the coaching staff down. There's one thing in particular in this rivalry, Rico, that has happened every single time 17's been on the field. Do you know what that answer is?
Oof. Talk to me.
Josh Allen has thrown for at least 2 touchdowns in all 13 games that he's played against the Miami Dolphins. No matter what they've shown him, no matter who's coaching the D, no matter who's on the D, no matter what's going on the offensive side of the ball for the Miami Dolphins, regardless of the way the game is unfolding, Josh Allen has played, I'm not over-exaggerating here, first ballot Hall of Fame football against these Miami Dolphins since he's entered the league. So I'll ask you this. You had mentioned Jordan Poyer. Above anything here, I had mentioned Tyreek Hill. Above anything here, this game comes down to Josh Allen. Because no matter what the Dolphins have done, what the Bills have done, the one thing that's common in all these games, the Dolphins cannot stop Josh Allen. So I ask you this. He's coming off an incredible game last week. He's got 13 incredible games against Miami. Do you see that unfolding again tonight? Or do you think it's one of those moments where he really had to go all out last week? The hand's injured, of course, and you could see this going a bit south. What do you expect from 17 tonight, Rico?
I expect 17 to, again, go into the phone booth. You know what I'm saying? Some things are going on in the phone booth. Come out, and he's got to put the cape on, right? And he's going to have to be Superman again. I don't care what anybody wants to tell me. He's the superstar on the squad. He's the only superstar on the squad. Last year, we had Stephon Diggs. We had Josh Allen. Those were your 2 superstars. Now we're down to 1 superstar. Now he's going to have to do what he's supposed to do, and that's put the team on his back. Is it going to be a walkthrough for these Bills? No. The Dolphins at home are going to be, they're prepared. There's no more talk with them. There's no more talk. All we're doing is talk about, oh, they're 11 and X and we haven't won. Tua's 1-5 against the. Yo, I hear it all. I've been hearing it all. I'm hearing it all from my Miami fans. Bro, I'm done talking. Let's get to business. And they brought Jordan Poyer there for a reason. Obviously, he's on the tail end of his career, but they said, you know what? Let's bring a little nastiness to him. And just so you know, I'm reading some tweets going on right now, and they said Jordan Poyer ran by the Bills bench and was absolutely animated, ready to go. I'm in Miami. I'm in my city, and y'all coming here. We got to play y'all twice a year. Let's go. Jordan Poyer's ready to go. So if that don't fire up Miami, yo, I don't know what's going on. So they're going to be ready to buck heads with the Bills. So this is where Josh Allen's going to have to put the team on his back yet again. Here's the challenge. Josh had 100%. Let's give it a buck. He's not 100%. He's nursing that left hand injury. All that weight, 240 pounds landing from the point of your elbow into your hand. That can't feel good. I can't feel good. So at this point, can he deliver? He's not injured with his right hand, so he's going to be able to sling that rock left, right, center. But when it comes down to, play fake, how's that grip strength, right? You gotta hand the ball off to the left side. Are you able to hold on to it? How many shots did you have to take in that hand to make sure that you're good? So there's a lot of things factoring on if he can play. I mean, allegedly, when you look at Josh Allen's injury status, it says no status anymore. Like he's good to go, right? So is he bothered by it? He's wearing the glove. We know Josh don't wear gloves. He's wearing the glove. So at this point, The fact that he's wearing the glove, we're about to find out if he truly is healthy and ready to go. That handing off the football is going to be crucial. Handing it off right, you're fine. You got your right hand, you're cool. Handing off left, that's going to be a problem. Are we going to do a lot of play action and counter? So you're going to hand off right, pull back, and keep it in your right hand. Are you going to go left? How strong is your grip? So, I mean, there's a lot of factors that play into it. But if he is A-OK ready to go, he's still going to have to put the team on his back. But I'm not sleeping on Miami, baby. I'm not sleeping. I got to give them some kind of respect, which I'm going to flip the script on you, my G. So you're looking at the Miami Dolphins. They barely got by a very good Jacksonville Jaguars team, a very improved Jacksonville Jaguars team. But they got away with it. Some folks are saying, man, they should have lost that game. If not for the fumble on the 1-yard line, it's 24-7. They ain't coming back from that. You're one-dimensional. You got to throw the football all day. Now let's go back to the Miami Dolphins a little bit. They've improved on the defensive side of the ball. Tyreek Hill is looking to obviously eclipse that 90 yards, right? He's looking to have a big game. He had a big game last week. If we're disciplined enough, we can do it. But we don't have the same personnel we had last year that know where they're supposed to be, right? Taylor Rapp. Now we've got DeMar Hamlin back there. That is not Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. My question to you, sir, how confident are you with his Bills secondary going up against Jalen Waddle, going up against Tyreek Hill, and the speed that the Miami Dolphins possess? Does it play a part? I know you don't. I know you don't respect them, but I want to see if things have changed. Have things changed, boy? Have things changed?
Well, I don't respect the Jets. You saw how that wound up going down on Monday night. I was sorry to see that. I know that you had high hopes for those New Jersey Jets. I just wanted to throw that out there, by the way. So I will continue. I will continue to have no respect for any of these clowns. In fact, I have more respect right now for the New England Patriots than I do for just about anybody in this league. How about them knocking off Cincinnati out of all these divisional opponents of ours? Shout out to the New England Patriots. But no, jokes aside, of course, you have to respect Miami simply because of the roster that they have. They haven't earned any respect against the Buffalo Bills. And where I will give them credit, both Mike McDaniel and Tua took the podium this past week, and they said it as such. They know this is the equivalent of the Chiefs to the Bills. The Bills are the Chiefs to the Dolphins. They've played tight games, right? They can't get over the hump. They cannot. The Bills are the hump for the Dolphins, as the Chiefs seem to be the hump for the Bills. If the Dolphins are able to get over this hump tonight of beating the Bills in week 2 and moving into 2-0, I don't know how much that does for their confidence moving forward. It could be dramatic. This is something that has pretty much plagued this team for some time now. Now, what you're talking about could be the difference here. The speed that the Dolphins have is as good as it gets in the league. We also know that Tua is able to get the ball out of his hands about as quick as anybody in the league. Although, funny enough, last week, Rico, Josh Allen led the league in terms of getting rid of the ball the fastest. He was far faster than Tua was last week. Let's talk about what happened with the Bills last week and what they were able to do in that game that I think, if they're able to replicate in this game, will lead to success. One, getting after the quarterback. Jacksonville got after Tua last week. They did a good job of it. That wound up dictating the ball game for quite some time. If it wasn't for like 2 or 3 plays in that game against Jacksonville, the Dolphins are losing that game 100 out of 100 times. The Bills, I know that game wound up finishing 34-28. An absolutely horrific kick return where there was about 4 missed tackles on it, allowed that game to seem far closer than it was. The Dolphins, they pulled that one out of their ass. And Jacksonville, their defense dominated the Dolphins all game long until Tua blew it open with that 80-yard touchdown. Even then, Rico, they still had to settle for 2 field goals at the end to win it. Jacksonville was getting home on Tua, had a few sacks on him. They were able to shut down Tyreek. It wasn't until that late third quarter bomb. I think going into that play, he had 30-some yards on the day. What the Bills were able to do last week is hold Kyler Murray to under 170 yards. Yep. Marvin Harrison Jr., look out. We got the next Randy Moss. We got the next T.O. We got the next great. 1 catch for 4 yards. The Cardinals came out last week offensively, and it looked like this to all of us. It looked like they were going to be able to do whatever they wanted. And without Teron Johnson, mind you, who they'll be out without tonight, they shut down the Cardinals the rest of the ball game.
Big facts. So
going into this one, does Miami have the advantage in terms of their offense against this Bills defense? Absolutely. But I think if Greg Rousseau and that front line is able to do what they did last week, I think that if the Bills secondary is able to rally together the way that they did last week, essentially shutting down Kyler Murray for a full half of football, I just don't see why they can't compete tonight on the defensive side of things, despite all the injuries and despite the new faces. I think that Sean McDermott has had an incredible ability to to exploit Tua's weaknesses, I think, more than others. They really put Tua in a tough spot nearly every time that they play him. And we know that Tua hates having pressure up in his face because his whole game is getting rid of the ball. I think last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars, Rico, he finished with over 300 yards. I believe 90 of those yards were actual air yards. All the rest were yards after the catch. If they're able to disrupt Tua throughout the game, to answer your question in terms of the speed and what Miami has on offense, I think that's the key that will be able to mitigate all of the weapons that, of course, Miami has on their side.
I like where you're going with this, and you know what? I'm gonna give some praise to our defensive side of the ball because when we're talking about air yards and the time that he has, listen, if we want to talk about keys to the game. So, and I love the key that you brought up. I'm gonna stick to the defensive side of the ball and look at our defensive front. I think our defensive front against the O-line of the O-line of the Miami Dolphins. I'm not saying Miami Dolphins have a poor O-line. They didn't do so bad against the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're all right. Although Tua did get taken down a few times in that game. I like our chances against the Miami Dolphins. Greg Rousseau is just on a tear. He's on a tear. And not only that, he's going up against his former teammate, right? Who's going to have a better matchup? And we got drafted the same year, right? I just came off a great game. And so did Jalen Phillips. And Jalen Phillips is coming off of a big-time injury from last year. So he's got a lot to prove. Greg Rousseau's got a lot to prove against the guy that got drafted before him. So there's a lot in play on that matchup between those two going up against each other, right? Not obviously against each other, but they're facing the same team and they're on the defense side of the ball and they're going to try to one up the other. Listen, if we're going to talk about Von Miller looks refreshed. Von Miller looks like he's going to be a problem, and we're going to need Von Miller to be a closer. Do not give Tua the time that he needs. We are not facing Kyler Murray, so we're not having to be really disciplined on if he's going to take off or not. Tua's not that guy. You're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy. You're a pocket quarterback. So now we could just pin our ears back and really go after and get it. We still have to be disciplined because, they got the jet sweep, they flip reverses and all that stuff. They got a lot of speed, but at this point, I like our defensive front against our O-line. I really do like it. Here's another thing I want to click and show you guys here. If you guys haven't seen it yet, I don't know if you saw it, but hold
on, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna kick the cat out of here because the cat's knocking every damn thing in my room over right now. I gotta get rid of the cat.
Cat's name again? What's the cat's name?
This one's Tofu and Tunes. Tunes, he's always cool, maxing it. Tofu, neurotic, and she's knocking over every damn thing on my desk right now. So give me 2 seconds.
Tofu. Anyway, as my guy shouts out of there. Listen, here's the deal. I want to show you guys what we're working with today with the depth chart. So we see who's inactive. Obviously, Teron Johnson's out. Joe Andreessen for the second straight week. He's out. Eddie Ulufosio, there we go. He's out for the second straight week. We get it. Those are the 2 rooks on the squad. We get it. Javon Solomon, third rookie, out. Ryan Vandenberg, out. Dwayne Smoot still nursing an injury. So guess what? Cole Bishop is not on that list. So Cole Bishop will be seeing the field today. At what capacity? We shall soon find out. Maybe we start to see a little bit more of him on the field. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to an encore from Cam Lewis. Cam Lewis has big shoes to fill today. He absolutely has big shoes to fill. He did an admirable job last week, obviously with Teron Johnson going out, his number being called, and he was excellent. He was in the run game. He was the replacement we didn't know we had. It was a question mark. Are we going to get beat to death with this guy in, or is he going to step up and show that he can actually play in this game? And that he did. Big shout out to Cam Lewis, and then you're going to have Jamarcus Ingram, but Cole Bishop being active today. I'm gonna be interested to see where they place Cole Bishop. Is he gonna be more of a red zone defender? Where does he fit? Where are they gonna put him in there? So that I'm very much looking forward to. But when I look more at this, I guess the depth and who's playing and who's not. I mean, really, at the end of the day, we see what it is. Nicholas Moreau will actually suit up. That'll be nice to see. So we have a nice a quad back in Nicholas Moreau, Balen Spector. So this is looking good. Kyer Elam will be there. So we'll see how this all plays out, man. We need speed. We need size. Maybe this is where Kyer Elam gets some playing time. I don't know. But Cole Bishop being out there, I'm very interested in seeing how this all shakes out. We're got to leave everything in front of us. Everything has to be in front of us. If I can play zone all game, I'm going to play zone all game because I can't front. Tyreek's speed does bother me. You know what I mean? It does bother me. But we've done well against Tyreek. We've bottled him up or contained him, if you will. And I think we should continue to be in the same position. We will contain. We'll make sure that he doesn't get over the top. And we got to stay disciplined. So at the end of the day, that's what I'm looking forward to. Where do they sprinkle in Cole Bishop? I need to see that. Mike Edwards, where is he going to be sprinkled in? So we'll soon see how this all shakes out. By the way, I hope the Cats, Tofu and Tunes is out the room. We're good?
Out the room. They're downstairs getting prepped up. They're shotgunning a couple Bud Lights. They're getting ready for game day. I think they might have had a couple too many before they walked in here, going absolutely nuts. They're like human tornadoes.
I like this.
I was just looking, by the way, this Dolphins game against Jacksonville last week. I mean, similar to the Bills in the fact that you're like, man, what is this? It was a weird game. Very entertaining. The Bills game was not so much with the Dolphins game until the end. But I'm just looking through here, Rico. Trevor Lawrence completed 12 passes in that game. 12 passes for 162 yards.
That's it?
That's it. They ran the ball 26 times. To the 21 attempts for the Trevor Lawrence in the pass game.
I like where you're going with this.
The Bills last week, Rico, they had a 60-40 split in terms of running.
I like where you're going with this.
I think that in this particular game, the benefit, of course, as cliche as it sounds, it's not necessarily cliche when talking about the Bills because they emphasize this cliche every game they've played essentially with Joe Brady. Running the football has done wonders for this football team. Last year, the time of possession battle was always in the Bills' favor week in and week out. That's why they even stood a chance in that divisional game against the Chiefs. You saw how easy the Chiefs were moving the ball against the Bills with that banged-up defense in that divisional game. The Bills had nearly double the possession time in that ball game. It was the only reason why it was so close towards the end. The Bills didn't run the ball exceptionally well last week, but they stuck to it, and I thought it did a good job of opening other things up. That's why Josh Allen had such an efficient day through the air. He had 137 quarterback rating last week. Josh Allen was about as good as it gets a week ago. So you're looking at what Jacksonville did last week, and it wasn't a whole lot of crazy. And they were winning that game the entire game, and not just winning it, but they were dominating the game up until two plays back-to-back completely flipped the script. So I was just looking at that. I thought that was very interesting because the Bills did not play a full half of football last week that was anywhere close to good, and they still scored 34 points and were pretty efficient on both ends of the offensive spectrum and running the ball and throwing the ball. Jacksonville did not look impressive at all last week when it came to the offense, and they were winning that game the majority of the time. The one thing I want to talk about with you, Rico, in terms of a factor that I think could swing in the Dolphins' favor, that I was shocked the Cardinals went away from last week later on in the game. What did the Cardinals do early on in that game that was gashing the Bills, especially in the first quarter on the first drive?
I mean, listen, it was the James Conner show, man. They were just run the freaking rock, run the rock, and when you didn't run the rock, you ran a screen, and it worked early because I'll look at it as whether you want to call this, it is what it is. Some might say this was like a preseason. This was just shaking the rust off, or we legitimately got gashed in the run and we weren't disciplined enough, and we need to get better at that. The running back game,
yes.
So you catch what I'm saying. So when you're looking at the run game coming from Miami, they got some banged up guys.
Yep,
they got some banged up guys. So I think A-Chain is in. I think he's playing,
and that's exactly where I'm going. That's why I asked you.
Let Z-Bot cook, baby.
Oh, by the way, I'm just seeing the shirt. Phenomenal.
There's a reason I'm wearing that today because we were talking about keys to the game.
Yes.
And we're mentioning, obviously, and I'm loving how we kind of segue into it because what the Bills weren't able to stop at the beginning of the game was James Conner. And James Conner was fresh. He was ready to go until, we put the clamps on and we got things going. We changed the dynamic of the game.
Yeah.
James Cook hasn't historically had good games against Miami, right? I'm looking at what he's done since he's come into the league. He's got 100 yards total against Miami and 2 touchdowns. Now, obviously, a different offensive coordinator for the majority of his career. And then Joe Brady takes over, and he's a different ball. He's a different player. This could be the game James Cook goes. I don't want to say goes off, but this could be the James Cook game that he shows that I can run against Miami. Shoot, I'm a Floridian, man. That's what I do. I should be able to, I'm in my hometown. I want to show out. That's number one. And from what I'm understanding, the weather's not the greatest.
Yep.
It's a little drizzly out there. Yo, this might be the game that Ray Davis comes in and says, yo, hold my drink for a real quick second. Let me show you a little something. Because the 3 carries that he got last week were explosive, were decisive, and he hit that hole hard. And I'm not going to say pause because I'm all lipping that, right? So here's the deal. Running the football is going to be so essential. Like you said, we ran the ball more than we passed the ball. The Jacksonville Jaguars ran the ball more. And here's another thing. I took a little nugget from Mina Kimes and Dan Orlovsky. They were mentioning how the Jacksonville Jaguars were a lot in 12 personnel, bringing the big bodies out. The Dolphins stayed in nickel. The nerve to stay in nickel when you got the big boys coming out. Now we're probably going to end up taking. This is a copycat league. Let me keep my big boys on there and see the theme. The theme is y'all had a little trouble stopping the run. So let me give you a dose of Ty Johnson, a dose of James Cook, a dose of Ray Davis. Oh, by the way, you thought his hand was hurt? Let me give you a dose of Josh Allen. This might be one of those games where, bro, we might even throw the ball 10 times. We gonna run the rock. Reminiscent of what we did against
win bowl action.
Hey, listen, man, we might have to teach them a little lesson like we did the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to get my hopes too high up, but I feel this could be the game that James Cook finally shows out, especially in Miami. He's from all there, so why not? Why not? I see big things happening in the run game. On
the other end of things, though, in terms of that run game, though, Rico, because I was asking you earlier, in terms of what Arizona was doing early on in that game that I thought was working really well was the implementation of James Conner, in particular in the pass game. What allowed the Cardinals to get down there and open that game up on a positive note was that screen pass to James Conner for about 30 yards. It immediately got the Dolphins on their the Cardinals on their second play of the game. It got them into Bills territory. And what I'm getting at here is the run game, as we're both assuming here, is going to be a pivotal factor in this ball game, probably more so for Buffalo than Miami. But regardless, with the weather the way it is, I think time of possession is going to matter a lot in this game. Running is going to be an emphasis. I'm looking at Devon Achan's numbers last week because he is good to go, by the way. Okay. Devon Achan, he was questionable for this game with an injury. I believe it was an ankle, and he is cleared to play tonight and will be playing because Raheem Mostert got hurt and he is inactive. So Devon Achan is going to be getting the bulk of the carries here. But last week, Rico, Devon Achan, 10 carries for the Miami Dolphins, 24 yards. The Miami Dolphins could not run the ball at all last week. Jeff Wilson Jr. led the way with 26 yards. That was their leading rusher last week. But here's what I'm getting at. That screen game, when you have to factor in Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, right? When you have to factor in those guys already, you might not be putting an overemphasis on where the hell Devon Achan is. And they were able to capitalize on that last week. Achan did not have a good day at all on the ground. Rico, he trailed only Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle in receiving yards. Tyreek Hill had 130. Waddle had 106. Devon Achan tied with Tyreek Hill for the most receptions in the game for Miami with 7 and 76 yards. That's one thing to me tonight, Rico. I think the easy answer is, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, look out. Devon Achan in the pass game, especially with what we saw last week, Arizona's ability to get that going. I think they went away from it. I would have kept trying to go down that alley with James Conner because clearly you had nothing with Marvin Harrison Jr. There was really nothing going on in the pass game at all for the Cardinals last week. They couldn't even eclipse 170 yards through the air. To me, Rico, Devon Achan in the pass game, he could be that secret weapon outside of Waddle and Hill that could really give the Bills fits tonight.
Listen, anytime that a player presents speed, presents, something that most franchises are looking for, you understand it. You understand it. You understand that you gotta play discipline, and and it's not just about discipline, right? You can't over pursue. And that's the problem that I have with some of the players that we have on our team. And I'll name this player. Dorian Williams he has some moments where he over pursues. As athletic as he is, we can't over pursue. The cutback lane is so essential, but this is where I love where Terrell Bernard is. Terrell Bernard doesn't fall for that crap. This guy looks like he's a student of the game. Listen, you are going to have to beat us. You're going to have to just knock us if you're going to have to. There's not going to be any open lanes. We can't allow these open lanes. So we just can't over pursue. We know we don't want to let them beat us to the edge. So we're trying to get there before they get there. Nah, bro. We just got to play disciplined football, get in your gaps. Do not falter. And that's the biggest thing right now. And Dorian Williams is a young player. I get it. You're in your second year and you're still learning the ways. And we're always waiting for the second year player. In your third year, you're going to step up. But right now, you ain't got no choice, bro. We need you to grow up and step up and really show out. And I know my man Poyer is just not the biggest fan of Dorian Williams. He's like, yo, man, this guy. I was watching the film, man. He's out of position. He's not liking so far what he's doing. So this could be a game that Dorian Williams shows up and shows maturity, shows that he's been watching the film, and you just can't over pursue, man. Guys with speed are looking for the cutback lane, and the quickest way up, the quickest way to get to the end zone is straight north upfield. So you can't over pursue and allow this gap to go, because I am not confident in what I got back there in Damar Hamlin. I'm not confident in what I have there, once they get past the linebacker crew, because maybe I'm just pointing at Damar Hamlin, but I gotta see something from Damar Hamlin. I need to see that dog. I don't know if you read this quote that he put out there. I'm gonna paraphrase here. He's sick and tired of being recognized and being known for the guy that died on the field. Those are his words. Yeah. I want to be known for, man, smack him. Get in there then. Show me something, because last week you didn't show me dick. You know what I mean? Pause. But I'm just saying, you need to show me something. I'm sick and tired of being the guy that then shut your ass up and show me something, man. Get up in the box and just let's go, man. Look, here I go again, having these pause moments, right? But get up in the if McDermott's gonna bring the blitz at one point. He did it to Kyler Murray. He let Kyler Murray believe that, it's gonna be zone all day, and then he started to bring the blitz. We're gonna do the same thing to Kyler Murray. So this is where you gap integrity, but if you have a lane with Devin H.A., bring the wood. Real talk, man.
Pause.
Cody Benz is like, golly, these pauses are crazy. Well, I'm in the game, baby. I'm pumped up for this game, man.
Okay, Rico's putting all the pauses out there because tonight the Buffalo Bills are all play. There's no pause tonight. The Buffalo Bills are letting that thing run from snap one all the way to the end. I think tonight, Rico, it's going to be a really good. Last week, of course, against the Cardinals, it was a solid test, and I think the Cardinals are going to be far better than people think. And I think that you see that already on display this coming week. The Cardinals, in fact, are favored over the LA Rams, who people think are essentially. Isn't that nuts? They are a home favorite against the LA Rams, an interdivisional game. Yes, and the Rams have owned the Cardinals, similar to how the Bills have owned the Dolphins in recent years. So the Cardinals are no slouch, and we know this to be true. Last week, I thought they were better defensively than advertised, and I thought at times Kyler Murray really gave this team fits. His ability to extend the pocket, his ability early on to be able to move the ball down the field real efficiently. They got away from a lot of that, I feel like, and it ended up being their demise, especially when the Bills bounced back into it. It just looked like it was a bit panicky for Arizona at times. But regardless, the Cardinals are not the Dolphins. Last week it was a test, but in reality it shouldn't have been. The Bills were a full touchdown favorite, and for good reason. Tonight, however, will go a long way, in my opinion, in terms of how we, and of course the general public, view the Bills going into the rest of the season, because it's Murderer's Row the rest of the way here for the next really the whole season, but for the next couple of months, it's crazy game after crazy game. And right now, the Bills are still being written off by many. All you heard all week, no one gave the Bills credit at all for a W. Not that I'm saying, hey, where's our credit? We just beat the Cardinals. I'm not asking for that. But my point is, no one gave the Bills themselves credit for winning that game. It was all just Josh Allen had to do X, Y, and Z. Well, where have you been? Because Josh Allen's been doing X, Y, and Z and W and A and B and C and D and the rest of the gang this whole time. It's the only reason the Bills are any good, to be 100% frank with you. And everybody keeps saying the same thing, Rico. This isn't sustainable. Well, they were saying that in 2019 and 2020 and 2021 and so on. I'm starting to believe, Rico, that a 6-year stint of the same shit is pretty sustainable to me. But the thing of it is that they did it against the Cardinals, and that kick return wound up making the game way closer than it should have been. And so people are perceiving the Bills to still be a team that's more on the level of the Cardinals than the top of the league. Tonight, Rico, you go out on a national stage, the first Thursday night game officially, because for whatever reason, last week on NBC was technically Sunday night football on Thursday night. You get the first Thursday night slot of the game against a team that everybody just wants the Dolphins to be better than the Bills. I don't know what it is. They want the Jets to be better than the Bills. They want the Dolphins to be better than the Bills. Everybody does. The national media, everybody online. They cannot wait for the Bills to drop down.
What are we, the villain?
That's what I'm saying. And tonight
we're the good guys. How are we the villain?
Screw it. I want to be the villain. Tonight, I want to be the villain. Go into Miami and for the umpteenth time, prove it to everybody once again that you're going to have to wait your damn turn to get up the totem pole in this AFC East, because right now the Buffalo Bills are supplanted at the top of it until proven otherwise. I think tonight goes a long way towards showing us what these Buffalo Bills got in 2024.
All right. Speaking of prove, you just said, the Dolphins are going to have a lot to prove to try to take off and take out the Buffalo Bills. So in your opinion, who needs this game more? The Bills, I want to know, and the Dolphins, I want to know. Well, like in this moment, week 2, who needs this game more? Bills or Dolphins?
Man, that's such a great question. But my heart and mind are colliding here down the same path. The Dolphins need this game more than the Buffalo Bills do.
Keep this in mind. I'm going to ask you this question. I'll tell you what the next opponent is. So the Bills face the Jaguars next.
Yes.
Funny enough. And it's another freaking primetime game, for crying out loud. We got 3 primetime games straight? What?
Yep.
Golly. All right. So we got the Jaguars after the Miami Dolphins. So we're going what? We're going back to Florida? No, they're actually coming to Buffalo. So
yeah, Monday night. And then you know what the week after that is, right?
Listen, Ravens time.
Yeah.
It's the Ravens. So then the Dolphins, after they face the Bills, their next opponent, I'm just trying to see where they're at right now, just to kind of see. I'm trying to set you up to see who you feel. They got the Seahawks after us. They got the Seahawks. So who needs this game more? The Bills right now at this juncture of the season, or the Miami Dolphins? And this goes out to the chat. Who needs this game more? The Dolphins? Do they need it? Do they need to prove a lot to the NFL, to the league, to themselves? Or do the Bills need this more because of who we have, who we lost, all of that underneath one umbrella? What are your thoughts?
I could see the argument on both sides, but to me, I'm coming back to the same answer, and it's the Miami Dolphins. How could they not? How demoralized? I mean, think about this. I know the stakes are different when you're talking about losing to the Chiefs in the playoffs in 3 consecutive seasons. I understand not 3 consecutive seasons, but 3 times. You know what I mean? Might as well. Who the hell cares? It feels like it's been 3 consecutive seasons. Hell, it feels like it's been 30 consecutive seasons at this point. But my point is, how demoralizing is it, Rico, every single time you're on your way out of the season with a loss to the same assholes, right? The same exact result. Feels like shit. I know the stakes aren't the same. The regular season games aren't postseason games, but the Dolphins have been on that shit end of this 11 of 13 times, the last 13 times they've gone at it. And Mike McDaniel admitted this week, Tua admitted this week, and they all know in that locker room, we're not going to be worth a damn until we can at least beat the Bills in the regular season, much less win a playoff game, much less win this division. The only way you can win this division is winning a game against the Bills in the regular season. The other point here too, Rico, this is at home. You think the Dolphins have an easier time going to Buffalo later in the year and winning that game? If they drop this one, the Bills, I guarantee you, will be favored in the next one in Buffalo, meaning the odds would tell you the Bills should sweep them yet again. The Dolphins 100% in this game need it more, because I think, for one, it is absolutely demoralizing to yet again start the season off losing to the same guys that have been in your way for over a half a decade now. 2, you know that you have to play them at their place again later in the year, and you drop the one at home here. And 3, I know the schedule right now for the Dolphins is a bit easier than the Bills, but over time, it's pretty much just as difficult. And not for nothing, We know that the Dolphins are susceptible to absolutely pissing and shitting down their leg when it matters most. They can't afford to drop games like these because they're going to need them if they want to avoid going on the road to Kansas City again in sub-degree weather, where I guarantee you they won't score over 10 points and lose yet again. This team needs to dictate their own future, and it starts tonight. But unfortunately, it's not going to happen.
Hey, well, listen, as you're talking, I got to get into the super chats because we got GQ Bob comes in with a super chat. We appreciate you. GQ says, let Shakir cook. He has magic every time he touches the rock. I don't disagree, which is going to get into our next segment before we get into this game, because the game's going to be starting shortly. And then we got our guy, the Kingpin, ready to drop another live video going for you guys. Listen, Damon Philpott, what's up, Dame? Dame says, good luck tonight, and hopefully no injuries. Listen, we don't want injuries on anybody. We just want a good game, a good, solid game. And then we got Gary Parahus. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, that's Caroline's brother. He's saying I look like Ryan Fitzpatrick, and I'll tell you this, Rico, that's the best compliment Gary's ever given me. So I'm taking that to the bank right there.
Well, listen, if the Bills win, you're gonna have to pull the old Ryan Fitzpatrick. Yeah,
just go nuts, right? Post game show, I got to hop on here with the gold chain on, shirtless, because maybe I'll have to do it if the Bills get.
That might have to be the case for you, brother. So Gary Parahus, giving some shout out, giving some love. We got it. And at the end of the day, this is what it's going to come down to. So the game's going to be starting shortly, but we're going to get into our predictions, our bold predictions, and our score predictions. But the one thing I do want to talk about is the receiving room. So we're at 5 receivers, MVS being receiver number 5. We talked about it all off season. It's going to be 6 receivers. It's going to be 5 receivers. Bump that. We're down to 5, and that's how we're going to roll. Who steps up today? Last week, some could say it was Keon Coleman. That was his game,
sure,
right? The Miami Dolphins got some dogs at corner. Jalen Ramsey being one of them. Who steps up today? Is it Curtis Samuel? Is it Mac Hollins? Is it Keon Coleman again? Is this going to be the Khalil Shakir show? Or is it back to Curtis Samuel? Or is it Kincaid?
Thank you. Yeah, I was about to say none of the above until I scrolled down the list on the Scantron there, and I finally got to Dalton Kincaid. Circle it. Rico, we've been told how long now that Dalton Kincaid is going to be the future of this offense. And I understand last week, it's not like anybody got a ton of targets. The leading receiver for the Bills was Keon Coleman with 4 catches. So it wasn't like anybody took over. I don't expect anybody to take over. But Dalton Kincaid needs more than 1 catch and 11 yards. Let's see it tonight, Rico. I'm hoping Dalton Kincaid is the difference maker in this game.
Well, listen, we talk about difference makers in the game. Who was it? There was Herb Street, is that his name? I can't.
Kirk Herbstreit.
Kirk Herbstreit, and they were talking to Kirk Herbstreit, and they were talking about the receiving room, and he goes, "Listen, the Bills are," and I'm paraphrasing here, the Bills are a lot more dangerous than people are going to give them credit for, because it's nice to have an alpha receiver in your room, but you got a game plan for that alpha receiver. The Bills, you don't know whose turn it's going to be at any given week. Last week, you had one guy. This week, who knows who's going to be? You can't pinpoint, we're going to take that guy away. We're going to take that guy away. You just can't with this offense. Josh Allen is going to go to whoever is open, and that's what makes him even more dangerous. So we'll see how this all plays out at the end of the day. This is going to be a matchup. It's a division game. Division games are always tough. But at the end of the day, someone's got to run away with the dub. And right now, it's favoring Miami because they're at home. Well, for how long? Listen, something's got to give. Something's got to give. So now I go to you, sir, for your hot take or you know what? Let's get into it.
I was just going to say, because it's 8:11, we got to get out of the way for Pierre. I didn't even realize what time it was. We got kick in 4 minutes. So I guess, Rico, should we get into our predictions as far as how we think this is going to go?
We absolutely should. Talk to me. What you got?
I want you to go first. The floor is yours. You tell me what you think is going to happen tonight.
All right. Bold prediction. Bold prediction. I like bold. I don't really like hot prediction. I like bold prediction. So bold prediction today, and it's going to go in the favor of the Buffalo Bills. Greg Rousseau gives us another triple. He gives us 3 sacks today, yet again, and one of those 3 sacks will be a game-defining sack. I'm sticking to it. Greg Rousseau's hot. I'm sticking with the hot guy right now. So give me my guy, Greg Rousseau, a triple. He gets the hat trick today, and that seals the game for the Bills. What you got?
My hot take is that Tyreek Hill does end up cracking that 93-yard mark. I think he finally is able to get over that hump against these Bills and have a big day, but it won't matter because the Bills offense on the other side of things, led by Josh Allen, who has not been able to be stopped by these Miami Dolphins leads the way again. This is not going to be a 48-20 game like it was to kick the year off last year. I think it's going to be awfully close, but I like the Bills in the end to pull this game out. I think the Bills take it 27-24 in a game that feels close all the way throughout. But I just think at the end, it's going to come down to who's the better quarterback, as it often does, Rico. And I think that, of course, points in the direction of the Buffalo Bills, and they get it done by 3 points tonight on the road. And I'm looking on here, by the way, once again, they're 2-point favorites.
2-point
Screw all
favorites.
that. Take them on the money line at plus 120 on BetUS, and you're going to be moving and grooving. I think the Bills get it done tonight, Rico.
I like it. And my guy, Andrew Lipson, says, you know what, bold prediction, Josh Allen runs through Poyer.
Ooh, I like that.
I would absolutely love that. And by the way, as you guys are going to be watching the game and jumping into Pierre, do me a favor. If you guys haven't joined Autograph, you haven't downloaded the app, go ahead and download that app. Everything you need Bills related is right there, from articles to engagement. And guess what? You can get merch. You can get ticket prices. If you're looking for tickets, you're like, man, I don't know where to get tickets. Boy, engage with this app, and the more points and the more engagement you get with it, the more points you get, the more ability you get to get your merch. And by the way, don't forget, use the code Buffalo Fanatics.
Yep.
That's how you get in and get groovy. So that being said, folks, game time is around the corner.
Yes, sir.
Like and subscribe if you haven't. The season's begun, baby. Let's go, man. We need to get everybody in this thing so we're ready for a post-game reaction. I need that win. I need that win.
We need it, baby. I can't wait. Links in the description below, by the way, for the Autograph app. Make sure to download it. Hit that like button. Subscribe, because we're going live immediately after this game. Rico and I will rejoin you right after this game concludes to talk all about it. And if you want to get in on some Buffalo Bills money line action, BetUS 150% sign up bonus up to $2,000 on your first 3 deposits with the promo code YouTube150. Stay here on the Fanatics YouTube channel with Pierre as he's going to walk you through the whole game. Rico and I will see you afterwards, and we can't wait. Get it done. Squish the mother effing fish. Go Bills.